Part of the video is how to install the plug-and-play system with the tweeter in your sail panel and the crossover here on the door. We're going to install the 6.5 in the door, and we're going to run all the wiring through the door. When you're doing our plug-and-play system, normally we have available a plate that you mount the crossover on, and it'll mount right here. It's out of the way. Well, on this model you can't do that. What we're going to do is we're going to grab a couple of 14-inch zip ties, and we're going to just mount it to the actual frame of the truck and keep it out of the way right over here. So what I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you a list of the things that you're going to need in order to install your plug-and-play system on the door. If you chose to do this, then you are going to need to cut the sail panel. We have that in another video where you're going to put the tweeter on the sail panel itself. We already have that done here. We have our speaker mounted to our speaker mount. We do have different speaker mounts available. This one's one of the thicker plastic ones. They're pretty heavy duty. 36 inches of 18 gauge wire, 36 inches of 16 gauge wire. The 18 is to extend the tweeter to where we're going to mount our crossover. The 16 is to run from the crossover to the speaker, to behind the speaker. We do have available a wire harness that plugs directly into your factory wire harness. So that we'll just plug in. And this also has 36 inches of wire, which is more than enough to run anywhere you need it on the door so that you can install, or so that you can connect it to your crossover. So this one, what we're going to do is we're going to end up just following the factory wiring, and since my crossover is going to go here, we're just going to run it to right there. That wire harness kit also has in it different size connectors for the different speakers that you're able to use. The ones that we're going to use for these speakers are the light blue and the dark blue. The dark blue, if you notice, is a little bit bigger than the light blue. That's for the positive terminal. The light blue is for the negative terminal. I also have some connection ends that they're just crimp-on, and this is what I'm going to use for my tweeter to extend that wire. You're going to need some wire cutters. You're going to need some, like I said, some wire cutters, either some wire strippers. I have various sizes of tie wraps, of zip ties. I have some smaller ones, some bigger ones. I just like to tie wrap the wiring following the factory wire. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and mount the speaker mount. In the kit we have available, it does include the right size bolts that you're going to need. They're going to be a little bit longer than the factory bolts. They are going to still use a 10mm socket. You want to be careful that you don't over tighten that, because you don't want to strip out that mounting screw. One thing that we highly recommend is that before you mount the speaker in, you want to get the speaker situated to where you're going to have it. Again, you're going to want the name facing down, because what that does is that gives you the pins facing down. You don't want them to get in the way of the window. What we suggest you do is you get a small drill bit and you drill just some quick little pilot holes. You don't need to drill through the whole thing. The size drill bit that I used for these holes is an 11/64. I only went in maybe about 1/8 of an inch. What this does is this gives you a pilot hole that you can put the screw in, and it's not going to slip and fall out as you're drilling in. I'm going to get the 16 gauge wire. Again, we offer 36 inches. I'm going to feed this through the factory grommet. Give yourself enough room to strip the end and put your connectors on it. You don't need a whole lot. You want to make sure it's out of the way, so you're going to also need to give yourself room to tie it to the factory wiring that's inside the door. Again, you don't want to cross this bracket right here because this bracket is the window bracket, and as the window comes down, you're just going to grab the wire and pull it out. You could damage the speaker. You want to make sure you stay on the outside of that bracket. And like I said, we like to tie it to the factory wiring because you already know that that's out of the way. Okay, so we have enough length to get to where we're going to put our crossover. I'm going to go ahead and get the 18 gauge wire now. Again, that's 36 inches as well. And that gets tied on to your tweeter. Strip off maybe about 1/4 inch. You shouldn't need any more than that. Here's where I'm going to use the pink splice connectors. Give it a little tug, make sure it's tight. You have a good crimp. Sometimes if you over crimp them, you can actually cut the wire inside it. A little tug. This one, again, it's long enough to fit anywhere I need it. So from here, now that I have all of the 3 wires that I need, I have the input, which is connecting to the factory harness. I have my tweeter and I have my woofer. I'm going to go ahead and grab a few small tie wraps. I like to leave myself a little bit of slack up here on the tweeter wire because in order to mount the door panel back on, you're going to need to remove that sail panel. This just gives me a little bit of room to work with. So we'll go ahead and get that out of the way. As I get the wiring here, I went ahead and left the input out of this tie wrap, this zip tie right here, because when we go to tune the amp, you're going to want to make sure this speaker is disconnected. So I leave myself that room so that I can reconnect it back. So right here is where I'll tie them all together. Okay, now that I have all my tie wraps there, I'm going to go ahead and cut the ends off of these carefully so that you don't cut any of the wiring. Now I'm going to go ahead and get the crossover. I've already poked a couple of holes here where I'm going to send the tie wrap through. I have a long Phillips screwdriver that I went ahead and I sent straight up there. And if you can see that, the screwdriver is right here, so that's where I went ahead and I poked the other hole. This side, I'll come down. You can see I'm hitting part of the bracket. So I'm going to come up this way. The screwdriver's right here, so I made a hole right here. Okay, I'm going to get the 14-inch tie wrap. I'm going to go ahead and feed that up through the hole that I made, pushing in just a little bit on the plastic so that we can reach up to that hole. I'm going to go ahead and close the tie wrap just a little bit so that it doesn't fall back through. Get the other one, do the same thing with that, just feed it up. We'll go ahead and get the crossover. This front zip tie that we have here, I'm going to go ahead and tighten it down. I'm not going to tighten it as tight as I can get it yet. I want to be able to move the crossover and I want to be able to get to the screws. This one I'm going to go ahead and tighten down. Again, still not getting it as tight as I can get it, just to hold it in place. You're going to need your Phillips screwdriver. You're going to want to loosen up the terminals here. We're going to go ahead and get our input, positive, negative. That's going to go into the in of your crossover. Red to positive, black to negative. Gonna go ahead and get the 16 gauge wire, strip that one back, connect that to the W in the crossover, that's the woofer, which will be your mid-range speaker. And then we'll go ahead and get the 18 gauge wire, which is the tweeter. We're gonna go ahead and connect that to the T, positive and negative. Now that we have all that connected, I'm going to go ahead and get the extra wiring out of the way. Keep that out of the way. I didn't push this in all the way, I'm just going to leave it there for now. When I'm done tuning, I'm going to go ahead and connect it up. Now we're going to go ahead and connect the mid-range speaker, the woofer. Going to go ahead and strip off about 1/4 inch again. I'm going to get my dark blue connector, which I'm going to use for the positive terminal. The light blue one I'm going to put on the negative wire, which is the black. Okay, we're going to go ahead and grab our speaker. Again, you want to make sure the name is right side up. I have Image Dynamics. That'll tell you that your terminals on the speaker itself are going to be facing down and they're going to be out of the way. On the speaker, the terminal, the bigger one is going to be your positive, the smaller one's going to be your negative. Or you could see there's a little positive that's etched in, or you could see that there's a little red dot where the positive one's going to be. You just want to make sure you have these connected correctly. So my positive, I'm going to my positive terminal. Negative, we'll go ahead and put that in. If you can see, I'm holding the terminal as I'm pushing in the connector because you don't want to break that terminal. And you also want to make sure that you're getting inside this metal terminal. You're not getting in between the plastic, because then that's not a good connection. So let's go ahead and plug this one in. I'm going to turn our speaker around. So again, the terminals, the speaker connections are down. Set this up where my pilot holes were. Get my screws. The way I'm going to screw these in is I'm going to start them, I'm going to get them almost all the way tight, but then before I tighten them down, I want to make sure that I gave myself room so that I could put the speaker on flat, because if you tighten this top one all the way down, it's going to force the speaker to be at an angle, and you're not going to get a sealed mount on this speaker, and you don't want air to come through. So now I can tighten that one up, I can tighten this one up. And there you have it. You have your speaker mounted. You have your wiring out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and just make sure that this is tightened now, so I'm going to hold it up. I'm going to tighten that. You don't want this moving around because then you're going to end up having some rattling. Tighten both of these. That's very secure. Let's go ahead and cut the ends. You're going to need to do one thing before you can get the signal to this point right here. The signal's actually coming from the tweeter that's that's up on the dashboard. What we offer is we offer a wire harness that you can connect directly into that connection. Then what you'd have to do is you just have to get your positive to your positive, your negative to your negative, and you'd have to connect those together. I'm going to go ahead and connect our harness in.
Okay, so a quick overview here. This connector here is the tweeter harness adapter, and you see this one has the long 36-inch leads, and if you plan to install your aftermarket tweeters in the dash, you would probably want to use this one. Now in this case, we're wanting to install the tweeters in the sail panel. We like to put them in the sail panel for better imaging. As we mentioned earlier in the video, when you disconnect the stock tweeter, the door stops working. So this right here we offer is a tweeter bypass. You plug that into the same stock location that your tweeter came out of. Mike showed you that earlier. And what that does is it allows the signal to continue through into the door speaker. So then here you can see the crossover that Mike set up here, and I'm going to go over that really quick. Here you can see where it says in. That is the signal coming from the head unit, and as he showed you in the video, that's the speaker harness adapter that plugged directly into the stock speaker wiring on the door. Then the W is the 16 gauge wiring. That's the thicker wiring that's running to the subwoofer, to the mid woofer or mid bass driver. And then of course T is for the tweeter. Now I just wanted to go over these with you. And again, if you happen to have this one, you can easily use butt splice connectors just like here and create your own bypass, but we do offer them already bypassed for you. So in another video we're going to show you how to install the tweeters in the dash using this harness here, and then installing the crossovers actually inside the truck. We generally do this for the 2007 to 2013 Tundra. If you have a 2014 and up, we usually recommend installing them in the sail panel only because of the way the wiring is set up in that truck. Alright, so I hope this clears up a few things, and look for these on our website.
And we'll put that out of the way.